Hello and welcome to Fast and Factual. I'm Utsav Parekh and I'll bring you the top stories of the day. Israel has agreed to pause military operations in parts of North Gaza for 4 hours a day. The move will enable Palestinians to flee hostilities in the north of the coastal enclave. Calling it a step in the right direction, the White House said it raises hopes of a respite in more than a month of fighting. US President Joe Biden says he asked for a 3-day pause in Gaza to bring back the hostages being held by Hamas. Biden added that a pause much longer than that was needed to resolve the hostage crisis. Asked if he was frustrated with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Biden said, and I quote, "It's taken a little longer than I hoped." In what comes as a clarification on his earlier remark of Israel taking up security responsibility of Gaza, Netanyahu said Israel doesn't seek to conquer, occupy or govern Gaza. In an interview, the Israeli PM stressed on the need of a credible force to end Hamas rule in Gaza. He added Gaza needs to be demilitarized, de-radicalized and rebuilt. Gazan officials say Israel launched airstrikes on or near at least 3 hospitals this morning. A massive explosion was heard in close proximity to Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital in the early hours of Friday. Dozens of injured and those seeking shelter outside the hospital began to flee at the time of the explosion. Explosions near hospitals are further stressing Gaza's precarious health system. This is as it struggles to cope with thousands of wounded or displaced. The Rafah border crossing between Gaza and Egypt reopened once again for limited evacuations. Nearly 700 foreign passport holders and dependents were reportedly able to leave Gaza through the crossing on Thursday. 12 medical evacuees and 10 of their companions were also allowed to cross into Egypt. This was after the Rafah border crossing was shut for a day. The Israeli military released videos that claim to show strikes on Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. The IDF says the strikes are in retaliation for attacks by Hezbollah towards Israeli territory on Wednesday. Israel says Hezbollah infrastructure and equipment were damaged in the strike. Yemen's Houthi rebel group launched a batch of ballistic missiles at multiple Israeli targets. This includes targets in the southern Israeli port city of Eilat. Israel's military said an unidentified drone hit a civilian building in Eilat and caused light damage. The Iran-aligned Houthi movement has launched repeated missile and drone attacks on Israel since October 7th. Israeli troops raided the city of Jenin in the occupied West Bank. 18 people were killed as the battle with armed Palestinians went on for hours. Thursday's clashes were some of the heaviest in months in the West Bank. Israeli forces also arrested 20 suspects in the raid and seized guns and ammunition. Foreign ministers from West Asia gathered in Saudi Arabia ahead of a League of Arab States emergency meeting on Gaza. Saudi Arabia will host the summits of both Arab and Islamic nations in the coming days. Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi is also expected to travel to the kingdom for the Organization of Islamic Cooperation meeting. Qatar's Amir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani met UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed in Abu Dhabi. The two leaders sat down to discuss the current situation in Gaza and to reinforce calls for an immediate ceasefire and the protection of civilians. The meeting came after CIA and Mossad chiefs met Qatar's Prime Minister in Doha. The CIA and Mossad meeting was to discuss the parameters of a deal to release hostages taken by Hamas. The Democrats are possibly deeply divided over the Israel-Gaza war. A latest poll shows nearly half of Democrats disapprove of how US President Joe Biden is handling the conflict. The poll was conducted by the Associated Press Newark Center for Public Affairs Research. It found that 50% of Democrats approve of how Biden navigated the conflict, while 46% disapprove. Support for Biden has fallen among Democrats compared to before the October 7th attack. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has condemned a shooting incident at 2 Jewish schools in Montreal. both schools reported finding a bullet hole in their front doors. There were no injuries reported. Violent clashes also broke out between students at Concordia University in Montreal. The altercation left several injured and one person was arrested. Canada's federal police have launched an investigation into videos circulating online. The videos warn people not to fly Air India starting November 19th. Canada's Transport Minister said that the department was taking the threat very seriously. The videos posted online in the last week feature Gurpatwant Singh Pannoon. He heads the banned pro-Khalistan group Sikhs for Justice. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in India. New Delhi and Washington seek to bolster bilateral ties, and the US aims to win backing for its position on the Israel-Hamas war. Blinken and US Secretary of Defense Lloyd will hold 2+2 talks with India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar and Defense Minister Rajnath Singh. The face-off between China and the Philippines over disputed waters has escalated further. The Philippines has accused the Chinese Coast Guard of dangerous harassment of Filipino boats in the disputed South China Sea. It says the Chinese Coast Guard fired water cannons at its boats. This is the latest incident near the second Thomas Shoal in the Spratly Islands. It comes nearly 3 weeks after 2 collisions between Chinese and Filipino vessels. Russia is likely to lift its fuel export ban next week. Russian fuel producers have reportedly been given a diktat by the government. They've been asked to prepare for the scrapping of all remaining restrictions on the export of petrol and diesel. Russia is the world's top seaborne exporter of diesel. It introduced a ban on fuel exports on September 21st to tackle high domestic prices and shortages. Moving to climate news. Overnight rain in India's capital New Delhi has residents breathing a sigh of relief. The air quality index dropped from a hazardous 400 to 147. The Indian Weather Department forecasts that this condition will persist today. The unexpected rainfall took place when the Delhi government was thinking about bringing artificial rain to the region. Meanwhile, the city of Mumbai also experienced an improvement in air quality thanks to coastal rainfall. France's interior minister has warned about worsening floods in northern France due to heavy rain overnight. The French weather forecaster has issued a red alert for rain and flooding in the Pas-de-Calais region. Since the beginning of this week, floods have disrupted roads and submerged homes in French villages. Heavy rains in the town of Garissa in northeastern Kenya have displaced people from their homes. The Kenyan Red Cross Society has said that 15 people have lost their lives in the flood. Residents of the region are now taking refuge in makeshift structures with no place to cook or even light a fire. Australia is extending refuge to Tuvalu citizens in a landmark climate change pact. Every year, 280 Tuvalu residents will be permitted to live, work and study in Australia. Along with this, Australia also made a commitment to support Tuvalu in climate action and security. Tuvalu is a Pacific island nation that's home to 11,200 people. It has repeatedly advocated for stronger climate action. This is due to the nation's susceptibility to the impacts of climate change. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has hailed the new pact with Tuvalu as groundbreaking. Moving to business and tech news, Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak was hospitalized in New Mexico City last night. According to medical professionals, Wozniak had suffered a possible stroke. The 73-year-old tech entrepreneur is being kept under observation by doctors till he's declared fit for discharge. Apple has suffered a setback against the European Court of Justice. The tech giant will have to pay $14 billion in taxes in a tax bill in Ireland. This comes after the European Court said it made an error when it ruled in favor of Apple in 2020. The tribunal has said that the case will now be reviewed again. In 2016, the European Commission said Apple had benefited from Ireland's tax code for over 2 decades, but then the court ruled in favor of Apple in 2020, arguing that the tech giant had not obtained an unfair advantage. Apple has agreed to pay $25 million to settle claims by the U.S. Department of Justice. This is regarding allegations that the tech company illegally favored hiring immigrant workers over U.S. citizens and green card holders. The settlement is the largest ever for the American Justice Department, involving claims of discrimination based on citizenship. Facebook and Instagram parent Meta Platforms will require political ads to indicate whether they were made using artificial intelligence. The social media company says this is being done to crack down on the rise of posts which are made using deepfake photos and videos. The policy will go into effect worldwide starting in January next year. Earlier, Meta Platforms had barred political advertisers from using its generative AI advertising tools. China's leading search engine platform Baidu has struck a $61 million chip deal with Huawei. Baidu has ordered 1,600 AI chips from China's leading communication system maker. Huawei bagged the deal after the company developed its own AI chips as an alternative to American chip giant NVIDIA. The U.S. arm of the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, or ICBC, was hit with a ransomware attack yesterday. The virus attack disrupted trade and financial transactions for the U.S. Treasury. The ransomware attack forced some of the trades to be made via a USB stick. The ICBC, which is China's largest commercial lender, says it's investigating the attack. US President Joe Biden says he's happy with the deal struck between the United Auto Workers Union and Detroit's big three car manufacturers, Ford, General Motors and Stellantis. Biden says that all automobile manufacturers operating in the US will have to replicate the deal. This includes companies like Toyota Motors, Hyundai, Mazda and other foreign firms. Biden says that the remaining automobile manufacturers have no choice but to raise wages. Thailand's government has announced a collaboration with Japanese automaker Toyota. The deal will advance Thailand's domestic electric vehicle manufacturing sector. The partnership will see Toyota manufacture its EV pickup trucks in Thailand. By 2030, Thailand aims to convert a third of its annual production of 2.5 million vehicles into EVs. Indian Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal will meet Tesla CEO Elon Musk in the US next week. The meeting will focus on bringing Tesla Motors to manufacture its vehicles in India. Tesla and New Delhi have been in talks for several months to set up a car manufacturing factory. Currently, there's a 100% import tax on automakers that import EVs instead of making them in India. Indian aviation firm Interglobe Enterprises and US-based Archer Aviation have announced a joint venture for electric air taxis in India. The air taxis will be able to carry 4 passengers and travel up to 160 kilometers. The service aims to start with 200 aircraft and will be launched in the Indian cities of New Delhi, Mumbai and Bengaluru. The first air taxi is scheduled to become operational in the year 2026. Moving to sport, let's start with the Cricket World Cup. New Zealand beat Sri Lanka by 5 wickets to tighten their chances for advancing to the semi-final. Sri Lanka batted first and were bowled out for just 171 runs in the 46th over. In the chase, New Zealand started strong but lost a couple of wickets early. However, 40-run cameos from Devon Conway, Rachin Ravindra and Darlie Mitchell sealed the win. After scoring 42 runs in last night's match, Rachin Ravindra has climbed to the topmost spot of the scorers at this World Cup. The young batter from New Zealand has now scored 565 runs in this tournament. Ravindra is trailed by South Africa's Quinton de Kock at 550 runs and India's Virat Kohli at 543. New Zealand pacer Trent Boult took 3 wickets in last night's victory over Sri Lanka. Boult has now become the third New Zealander to take 600 wickets in international cricket. He now joins the elite list comprising of current teammate Tim Southee and former captain Daniel Vettori. In other cricket news, Indian wicketkeeper batter Rishabh Pant was seen practicing in Kolkata yesterday. Pant was seen batting in the nets with his Indian Premier League team, the Delhi Capitals. The cricketer has been out of action after he suffered major injuries due to a vehicle accident in December last year. Moving to football, Liverpool were handed a 3-2 defeat by French club Toulouse in yesterday's Europa League match. Toulouse got off to a good start and took an early 2-0 lead. The French club scored again against Liverpool, but an own goal made the score 3-1. In the 89th minute, Liverpool scored a goal making it 3-2, but fell short of reaching a draw. Liverpool forward Luis Diaz's father has been released by Colombia militia members. Government officials confirmed this yesterday. The footballer's father had been kidnapped and in custody of gangs for the last 2 weeks. After the incident, Diaz said that the targeting of his family should never have happened. Uruguay striker Luis Suarez has confirmed his move to American club Inter Miami. This is as per the footballer's manager. The move comes after Suarez's former Barcelona teammate Lionel Messi urged Inter Miami's coach David Beckham to recruit the Uruguayan striker. Suarez currently plays for Brazilian club Grêmio and will become a free agent next month. World number 1 Novak Djokovic will play at the ATP World Finals starting next week. Serbian Djokovic will play his first group stage match against Norwegian Holger Rune. The tournament will be played in the Italian city of Turin starting from the 12th of November. Japanese tennis player Naomi Osaka will make a comeback to the sport. Osaka announced that she will compete at the Brisbane International Tournament in January next year. The 26-year-old has been away from the courts since September 2022. Osaka had taken a maternity break from the sport after she was struggling with postpartum depression. Basketball star LeBron James is all set to get his own museum. Along with a digital multimedia experience, the museum will highlight the basketballer's journey from his childhood to being the NBA's highest-scoring player. The museum will open on the 25th of November in LeBron's hometown Akron in the American state of Ohio. In entertainment news, a New York court ordered actor Robert De Niro's company to pay his ex-assistant a sum of $1.2 million. The jury decided that De Niro's company subjected her to a toxic work environment. Meanwhile, De Niro was not found personally liable for what his assistant went through. Graham Chase Robinson, the former assistant, had sued Robert De Niro and his company for gender discrimination. Singer and actor Kiki Palmer has accused her former boyfriend Darius Jackson of being abusive on multiple occasions. Palmer has reportedly submitted CCTV footage of the incidents. The singer has filed for a restraining order against Jackson. She has also requested sole custody of their son. Actor Sharon Stone has spoken out about getting sexually harassed during her early days in Hollywood. Stone said that the incident happened in the 1970s when she met a senior executive from Sony Pictures. The executive showered her with compliments and then abruptly exposed himself to her. Stone said she went into shock and didn't realize he left the room until his secretary came inside. Beyoncé has released the trailer of her upcoming concert film, Renaissance. The preview is a sneak peek into the legendary artist's tour spanning 39 cities. She describes it as a journey of balancing motherhood and stage life. Beyoncé takes on the role of director for the film, set to premiere in theaters on December 1st. Singer Selena Gomez is back on Instagram days after announcing a social media break. She shared images of herself in a restaurant in an apron holding a tray. Gomez quit Instagram and said the Israel-Hamas war was the reason for the break. She had written that the situation breaks her heart and her words are not enough. Singer Adele has decided to lift her self-imposed booze ban. She plans to wrap up the second leg of her Las Vegas residency with wine. In October, Adele told her fans that she quit drinking alcohol 3 months ago. She said it had not only affected her health, but her performances too. Jungkook, the singer of the K-pop band BTS, has discussed the inspiration behind his latest album, Golden. He emphasized that the theme revolves around love. Jungkook elaborated on how love is a universal emotion and he aimed to convey this sentiment through his music. The singer also clarified that none of the songs delve into his personal life. Golden was released on November 3rd. South Korean actor Lee Jong-suk is planning to open his own production company. According to reports, the company will be launched next year. The Doctor Stranger actor is also in talks with a new agency for an exclusive management contract. In September, Lee Jong-suk parted ways with his old company, Hyzium Studio. Fans of the Deadpool franchise have been eagerly awaiting the updates from the third film. Actor Ryan Reynolds took to his social media and revealed the character of Dogpool will be a part of the movie. He wrote, "The dog is giving Disney Plus's merchandise department nightmares." Reynolds also hinted at the film's release in the summer of 2024. Actor Bruce Willis's daughter has provided an update on his dementia. She revealed that his condition remains in an aggressive state. Earlier this year, the family had disclosed the deterioration of Willis's mental health. Last year, the iconic actor's family announced his stepping back from his illustrious career. He was diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia, impacting personality and behavior. That's all for this episode of Fast and Factual. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to First Post.